Do you enjoy it?
When they deserve it.
Did they deserve it today?
I'm not sure.
But you did it anyway.
Yeah. Just like the half dozen guys you screwed today.
Well, actually, it was only 2. You're different, Officer White. You're the first man in 5 years who didn't tell me I looked like Veronica Lake inside of a minute.
You look better than Veronica Lake.
Since the 1930s of classic Hitchcockian thrillers, the murder mystery genre has grown in size and popularity. More lies, more twists, and of course, more murder.
Mister, my family will pay cash. Whatever ransom you're asking for, they'll pay it.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Now, while true crime content has seen a rise in its audience, it's also introduced a new generation to the whodunit scene, pushing each of these movies to be more complex in intricacies than the last.
Okay, so what am I doing? Oh, I'm chasing this guy. No, he's chasing me.
For this list, we're including titles with at least 10 reviews and that were ranked highest by Tomato Meter. So keep your friends close and your enemies closer as we count down our list of the best murder mystery movies. Number 10, Zodiac. In the late 1960s and 1970s, fear grips the city of San Francisco as a serial killer called Zodiac stalks its residents. Investigators and reporters become obsessed with learning the killer's identity and bringing him to justice. Meanwhile, Zodiac claims victim after victim and taunts the authorities with cryptic messages, ciphers, and menacing phone calls. Starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr., and directed by David Fincher. Critics say a quiet, dialogue-driven thriller that delivers with scene after scene of gut-wrenching anxiety. David Fincher also spends more time illustrating nuances of his characters and recreating the mood of the 70s than he does on gory details of murder in Zodiac.
Sam?
Uh-huh.
We're not tracing these calls. You have my word.
Okay.
Sam, you need to tell me what your problem is.
I don't want to go to the gas chamber. I have headaches. I kill. I don't get them.
That is f***ed up.
You want to live, don't you? Well, this is your passport. How long have you been having these headaches?
Since I killed a kid.
Do you have blackouts?
Yes.
Do you have fits?
No, I just have headaches.
Did you attempt to call one other time when F. Lee Bailey was with us 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
And why did you want to talk to Mr. Bailey?
Why do you want to talk to me, Sam?
I don't want to be hurt.
Why is he calling?
I don't want to go to the gas chamber.
You won't get hurt if you talk to me.
You're not going to the gas chamber.
I wouldn't think they would ask for capital punishment.
We should ask the district attorney.
Number 9, Memento. Leonard is tracking down the man who raped and murdered his wife. The difficulty, however, of locating his wife's killer is compounded by the fact that he suffers from a rare, untreatable form of memory loss. Although he can recall details of life before his accident, Leonard cannot remember what happened 15 minutes ago, where he's going, or why. Starring Guy Pearce, Carrie-Anne Moss, Joe Pantoliano, and directed by Christopher Nolan. Critics say Christopher Nolan skillfully guides the audience through Memento's fractured narrative, steeping his film in existential dread.
Teddy, don't believe his lies. He is the one. Kill him. I finally found him. How long have I been looking?
Find anything? Didn't think so. Let's go, huh? Oh,
You're gonna pay for what you did. Beg forgiveness, and then you pay.
you don't have a clue, you freak.
Beg my wife's forgiveness before I blow your brains out.
Leonard, you don't know what's going on. You don't even know my name.
Teddy.
That's because you read it off a fucking picture. You don't know who you are.
I'm Leonard Shelby. I'm from San Francisco.
That's who you were. That's not what you become.
Shut your mouth.
You want to know, Lenny? Come on. Come on, let's go down to the basement. Let's go down, you and me together. Then you'll know who you really are. No!
Number 8, The Silence of the Lambs. Jodie Foster stars as Clarice Starling, a top student at the FBI's training academy. Jack Crawford wants Clarice to interview Dr. Hannibal Lecter, a brilliant psychiatrist who is also a violent psychopath serving life behind bars for various acts of murder and cannibalism. Crawford believes that Lecter may have insight into a case and that Starling, as an attractive young woman, may be just the bait to draw him out. Starring Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins, Scott Glenn, and directed by Jonathan Demme. Critics say director Jonathan Demme's smart-taught thriller, The Silence of the Lambs, teeters on the edge between psychological study and all-out horror, and benefits greatly from stellar performances by Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster.
Well, I've read the case files, have you? Everything you need to find him is right there in those pages.
And tell me how.
First, principles, Clarice. Simplicity. Read Marcus Aurelius. Of each particular thing, ask, what is it in itself? What is its nature? What does he do, this man you seek?
He kills women.
No, that is incidental. What is the first and principal thing he does? What needs does he serve by killing?
Anger. Social acceptance and sexual frustrations.
No, he covets. That is his nature. And how do we begin to covet, Clarice? Do we seek out things to covet? Make an effort to answer now.
No. We just...
No, we begin by coveting what we see every day. Don't you feel eyes moving over your body, Clarice? And don't your eyes seek out the things you want?
Number 7, Mother. A widow resides with her mentally challenged son in a small South Korean town where she scrapes out a living selling medical herbs. Mother and son are plunged into a nightmare when the body of a murdered young girl is discovered. Circumstantial evidence indicates the son's involvement, and he becomes the prime suspect during the sloppy police investigation. Betrayed by the legal system, the mother takes the law into her own hands to clear her son's name. Starring Kim Hae-ja, Won Bin, Jin Gu, and directed by Bong Joon-ho. Critics say, as fleshly as it is funny, Bong Joon-ho's Mother straddles family drama, horror, and comedy with a deft grasp of tone and plenty of eerie visuals.
근데 너 5살짜리가 어째 그걸 기억을 하니?
어머니, 이거 안 돼요.
참맞자. 나쁜 일, 끔찍한 일, 석병 나기 좋게 가슴에 꽉 막힌 거 깨끗하게 풀어준 침자리가 있어. 허벅지 대봐. 나만 아는 침자리야. 이렇게 오금쟁이로 5치, 거기서 3치.
어머니!
청도 삼촌, 우리 애 석병 난 거 봤잖아. 한 번만 봐줘.
왜? 이번엔 침나서 죽이게?
야, 뭐해? 빨리 데리고 나가.
앞으로 절대 오지 마, 엄마. 나도 안 만날 거야.
Number 6, The Big Sleep. Private investigator Philip Marlowe is hired by General Sternwood to help resolve the gambling debts of his wild young daughter, Carmen. Now, Sternwood's older daughter, Vivian, provides assistance when she implies that the situation is more complex and also involves casino owner and a recently disappeared family friend. As people linked to the Sternwoods start being murdered, Marlowe finds himself getting ever deeper into the case. Starring Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, Martha Vickers, and directed by Howard Hawks. Critics say a perfect match of screenplay, director, and leading man, The Big Sleep stands as a towering achievement in film noir whose grim vitality remains undimmed.
You want to know what I've got, or don't you?
I don't know. 200 buys a lot of information in my circle.
Would you pay it to know where Eddie Marr's wife is? Would you pay $200 for that, Shamus?
I think I might. Where?
Agnes found her. She'll tell you when she has the dough in her hand.
You might tell the cops for nothing.
I ain't so brittle.
Agnes must have something I didn't notice.
I ain't tried to pull anything. I came here with a straight proposition, take it or leave it. One right guy to another. You start waving cops at me. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I am. Okay, 200 it is.
Have you got the money?
Where's Agnes?
You know Puss Walgreens' office? Full rider building? 428 in the back?
Oh, but I can find it.
Will you be in shape to meet me there in an hour?
Yeah, I guess so.
You bring the dough, and I'll take you to Agnes.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 5, Rashomon. Brimming with action while incisively examining the nature of truth, Rashomon is perhaps the finest film ever to investigate the philosophy of justice. Through an ingenious use of camera and flashbacks, Kurosawa reveals the complexities of human nature as 4 people recount different versions of the story of a man's murder and the rape of his wife. Starring Toshiro Mifune, Makiko Kyo, Takashi Shimura, and directed by Akira Kurosawa. Critics say one of legendary director Akira Kurosawa's most acclaimed films. Rashomon features an innovative narrative structure, brilliant acting, and a thoughtful exploration of reality versus perception. Number 5, Rear Window. A newspaper photographer with a broken leg passes time recuperating by observing his neighbors through his window. He sees what he believes to be a murder and decides to solve the crime himself. With the help of his nurse and wife, he tries to catch the murderer without being killed himself. Starring James Stewart, Grace Kelly, Wendell Corey, and directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Critics say Hitchcock exerted full potential of suspense in this masterpiece.
What's she trying to do? Why don't she turn him in?
She's a smart girl.
Smart girl, she'll get herself arrested.
It'll get her out of there, won't it? Look, the wedding ring. Turn out the light, he's seen him.
Number 3, LA Confidential. 3 policemen, each with his own motives and obsessions, tackle the corruption surrounding an unsolved murder at a downtown LA coffee shop in the early 1950s. Detective Lieutenant Exley, the son of a murder detective, is out to avenge his father's killing. Now, the ex-partner of Officer White, implicated in a scandal rooted out by Exley, was one of the victims. Sergeant Vincennes feeds classified information to a tabloid magnate. Starring Russell Crowe, Guy Pearce, Kim Basinger, and directed by Curtis Hanson. Critics say top pacing, brilliantly dense writing, and Oscar-worthy acting combined to produce a smart, popcorn-friendly thrill ride in LA Confidential.
Louis, listen to me. Was she at the night out?
This newspaper ain't shit. Where's the girl Fontaine's talking about?
Did you kill her? You wanted Louis to lose his cherry, but that wasn't enough. So things got out of hand and you made her bleed. She bled on your clothes, so you burned the clothes.
Told you that.
Now listen to me. If that girl is still alive, she's the only chance you've got.
I think she's alive.
You think?
Then where is she now?
Did you leave her someplace? Just sell her out?
Tell me where she is. Move! White? 1 and 6. Where's the girl? White, I have this under control. Put the weapon down. Here's the girl! What?
Sylvester Fitch, 109 Avalon, Brown Corner House, upstairs.
Number 2, Chinatown. When LA private eye J.J. Gittes is hired by Evelyn Mulray to investigate her husband's activities, he believes it is a routine infidelity case. Now, Jake's investigation soon becomes anything but routine when he meets the real Mrs. Mulray and realizes he was hired by an imposter. Mr. Mulray's sudden death sets Gittes on a tangled trail of corruption, deceit, and sinister family secrets as Evelyn's father becomes a suspect in the case. Starring Jack Nicholson, Faye Dunaway, John Huston, and directed by Roman Polanski. Critics say, as bruised and cynical as the decade that produced it, Chinatown benefits from Robert Towne's brilliant screenplay, director Roman Polanski's steady hand, and wonderful performances from Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway.
Who is she? And don't give me that crap about your sister because you don't have a sister.
I'll tell you the truth.
Good. What's her name?
Catherine.
Catherine who?
She's my daughter.
I said I want the truth.
She's my sister. She's my daughter. My sister, my daughter.
I said I want the truth.
She's my sister and my daughter. Go on, please, go back. For God's sake, keep her upstairs. Go back. My father and I understand. Or is it too tough for you?
And before we reveal number 1, here are some honorable mentions. Mystic River. When the daughter of ex-con Jimmy Marcus is murdered, 2 of his childhood friends from the neighborhood are involved. Now, Dave, a blue-collar worker, was the last person to see her alive, while Sean, a homicide detective, is heading up the case. As Sean proceeds with his investigation, Jimmy conducts one of his own through neighborhood contacts. Now, eventually, Jimmy suspects Dave is the culprit and considers taking the law into his own hands. Starring Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, Kevin Bacon, and directed by Clint Eastwood. Critics say, anchored by the exceptional acting of its strong cast, Mystic River is a sober drama that unfolds in layers and conveys the tragedy of its story with visceral power.
When was the last time you saw Dave?
The last time I saw Dave.
Yeah. Dave Boyle.
Dave Boyle. Yeah, Jimmy. Dave Boyle. That was 25 years ago, going up this street, back of that car. Jimmy, what did you do? Thanks for finding my daughter's killer, Sean. If only you'd been a little faster.
Gosford Park. Robert Altman, one of America's most distinctive filmmakers, journeys to England for the first time to create a unique film mosaic with an outstanding ensemble cast. Set in the 1930s, Gosford Park brings a group of pretentious rich and famous together for a weekend of relaxation at a hunting resort. But when a murder occurs, each one of these interesting characters becomes a suspect. Starring Eileen Atkins, Bob Balaban, Alan Bates, and directed by Robert Altman. Critics say a mixture of upstairs, downstairs, Clue, and perceptive social commentary, Gosford Park ranks among director Altman's best.
Yes, good evening. This is Constable Dexter, and I'm Inspector. Yes, how do you do, ma'am? I'm Inspector
I'm
Top.
Lady Sylvia McCordle. We haven't moved him. I've gathered everyone in the
If you
restaurant.
can ever
Would you
get
like
him
to
on
come
a
straight?
telephone.
No, don't worry about him. He's just an American staying with us. Now, I'll tell you who we all are, and then we can all go to bed and leave you with poor William. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yes, indeed. Shall I introduce myself? I'm Inspector
This is
Top.
my aunt, Lady Trentham.
Ah, yes, the Countess of Trentham. Yes, I served with your husband on a
My
committee.
brother-in-law, Lord Stockbridge. Lady Stockbridge. Jennings, please would you remove that vile animal? Mrs. Nesbit. Mr. Nesbit. Ivan Novello, but I'm sure needs no introduction.
Well, of course, Mr. Novello.
No, wait. Would you like to speak to the servants tonight, Inspector?
Inspector
I
Tom.
think he ought to speak to Probert, my husband's valet. Would you tell him to come up?
Certainly.
Now, where was I? Isabel McCordle, my daughter.
Charlie Chan is in London. He's not in California. Well, I mean, they're talking about rewrites about the part of the Cockney maid, and she's running in and saying all these things. Look, I'm here. They don't talk. The butlers and the maids, they stand. They watch. I mean, you know, they serve. They do things. What about Claudette Colbert? Isn't she? She's British, isn't she? She sounds British. Is she, like, affected, or is she British?
The girl with the dragon tattoo. Wealthy Swedish recluse Henrik Vanger needs closure. 40 years ago, his beloved niece disappeared, never to be seen again. And circumstances have led him to believe that a member of his own repugnant family must be responsible. Vanger hires stoic journalist Mikhail Blomquist and scrappy chain-smoking hacker Lisbeth Salander to come to his island, dig deep into chilling family secrets, and unmask the killer once and for all. Starring Michael Nyqvist, Noomi Rapace, Lena Endre, and directed by Niels Arden Oplev. Critics say its graphic violence and sprawling length will prove too much for some viewers to take, but Noomi Rapace's gripping performance makes The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo an unforgettable viewing experience.
You want some water?
Yes. Thanks.
See, you're exactly like all the others. A simple act of compassion, like giving you water, ignites the smallest ray of hope that maybe, just maybe, I might let you go and that you'll live. See what I mean?
And finally, number 1, Laura. In one of the most celebrated 1940s film noirs, Manhattan detective Mark McPherson investigates the murder of Madison Avenue executive Laura Hunt in her fashionable apartment. On the trail of her murderer, McPherson quizzes Laura's arrogant best friend, gossip columnist Waldo Lydecker, and her comparatively mild fiance, Shelby Carpenter. As the detective grows obsessed with the case, he finds himself falling in love with a dead woman. Starring Gene Tierney, Dana Andrews, Clifton Webb, and directed by Otto Preminger. Critics say a psychologically complex portrait of obsession, Laura is also a deliciously well-crafted murder mystery.
Were you in love with Laura Hunt, Mr. Lydecker? Is she in love with you?
Laura considered me the wisest, the wittiest, the most interesting man she'd ever met. I was in complete accord with her on that point. She thought me also the kindest, the gentlest, the most sympathetic man in the world.
Did you agree with her there, too?
McPherson, you won't understand this. But I tried to become the kindest, gentlest, the most sympathetic man in the world.
Have any luck?
Let me put it this way. I should be sincerely sorry to see my neighbor's children devoured by wolves. Shall we go?
Well, my friends, that about does it for us. Be sure to stay tuned to the Rotten Tomatoes channel for more of the entertainment content you love. Until next time, I'm your host, Naz Perez, and we'll see you back here for more top 10s on the Rotten Tomatoes Countdown.